Hello and welcome back to South Coast Busways here at the Fratton Garage in Portsmouth with Solent Blue. Because, yeah, we've been over on the other side of the map for a bit. Let's go back to the easternmost edge. Because we still have a fair bit to cover over in Portsmouth. You know, this whole side of the city needs serving. So let's do that. And additionally, where is this called? What is this called? I can't remember. This area. We will call it this area for now. Yeah, we need to serve that. That has a direct bus to Portsmouth in real life, so it's probably, you know, important that it gets a connection here as well. For profitability purposes. And that is going to go probably from City North through City South, then out this way and down through Southsea somehow, and then up this way through Cosham, past Hospital, and in to Allway Avenue. But then of course we're going to have other services that go to other places here, because that looks like an important place to be serving. There's stuff over here. And then of course there is still more down here that we need to do. We need to cover. But the first big one is going to be the route to... Let me find what this place is called while the game's doing its first autosave. The game is already autosaving because I tested out some... you know, I was finishing up the livery design because we have a new livery this episode. Or a new repaint. Not necessarily a new livery. Kind of is, actually, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We always do. What is that place called? It is called Paulsgrove. Good to know. So yes, that route in real life is a 24-hour service, so we will be running it 24/7. I can't remember what the number is, but, you know, we're not going by real numbering, we're going by how the National Busway Scheme works. Which is to say, something that should make a little bit more sense. But yeah, where are we with the blues? 3... We have a 5, we don't have a 6, but we do have a 7. So I will have this be the 6, if we don't have a 6. We don't have a 6, so let's do a 6. And because it's a city route, we'll get the light colour. Copy that. So yes, the 6 will be Portsmouth City Centre North to Paulsgrove. And that will run 24/7. So, 207th route of the series. 6. Portsmouth to Paulsgrove. There you go. And we want to start at... Let's just start here. Portsmouth. Portsmouth, size 7 equals small caps, city centre. Good. Then we're going to come out of the city centre and go around like that. So, how are we going to come out of city south, because that's going to be the important part that we need to work out. I need to work out. I think we come out of city centre south, around this way, and we go this way. So that we meet up with the 3 at South Parade Pier, and then head back in to head up. So, I think, post me, if you don't mind. And there is the 6, between Portsmouth and Paulsgrove, via Southsea, Copnor, and, via Southsea, Copnor, Hilsea, and Cosham. So, it takes, before timing points, nearly 2 hours to do a return journey, so it's probably going to take about 2.5 once everything's all said and done. And I want to run this up to every 15 minutes during the day, so this is going to have quite a beefy PVR. And the timetable for the 6 is now done, running 24 hours a day, hourly in the overnight period, then bumping up steadily in the morning and dropping back hourly, dropping back to hourly in the evening, to a peak frequency of every 15 minutes. So, journey times are 66 minutes from Portsmouth to Paulsgrove, and 69 minutes from Paulsgrove to Portsmouth. I did have to resist a nice there, that's what that stumble was. Anywho, this is the 6. And this route will need 12 buses. So let's assign this from... Where's Fratton? There it is. Later. Because I'm going to look at the Portsmouth City routes and assess which ones could do with some double-deckers. So, the 1A and 1C already have double-deckers. The 2... Does that already have double-deckers? Yes, it does. The 3. The 3 already does, because that's the park and ride. The 4 doesn't. The 5 does? I think the 5 does. Yeah, the 5 does. 6 is new. The 7, the hard to Eastney, that uses single deckers. I don't have an 8, I do have a 10, and that 10 uses double decks. So, it's between the 4 and the 7. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our statistics page. I really like this is a good feature. We can see our network coverage. When it drops down, that's when we've expanded the map. So we are at 69% map coverage, which is very nice indeed. And we can see how long our network is, in terms of, I assume that's route miles. We are at 3,274 miles across 199 activated routes. But I bet that's going to go shooting up because we don't play the game on very far in episodes, because it's such a big game that even though it's not so laggy, it is still slow. But if we go back here, we go to show tour details, we get the old statistics page back. So if I find, we're looking for the 4 and the 7, so if I find the 4, Portsmouth 4 is this one. And what we want to see is just how bad are the loading situations, and the 4's pretty dire. And the 7 is not as bad, so it's going to be the 4 getting brand new buses. So how many buses does the 4 need? Let's have a look, shall we? Edit. I'll just show timetable. I can work this out. I'm relatively smart. So yes, we'll take the 602. Gets into Portsmouth University at 6:29. I assume it does the 6:31. It gets back into Portsmouth at 6:58. So take out the 702. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I want to make sure that we're not running too short, so I'm going to buy 18 buses for that. So that gives me an extra 2 for the 4 and an extra 2 for the 10. Because not 10, the 6. Because the 6 needs 10, so we'll buy 12 for the 10, for the 6. This is confusing, there's so many numbers. Let's start again. The 6 has a vehicle requirement of 10. So we will buy 12 for the 6. The 4 has a vehicle requirement of 4. So we will buy 6 for the 4. Which means we will buy 18 buses. There we go. It's very simple maths, but it's how these things go. Maybe I'm just getting old. I'm not getting old, I'm 22. I really have no excuse, but But yes, we're going to buy some brand new double-deckers, and they are going to come in the form of some... where's it gone? There you go, the 10.9 metre Enviro400 MMC. Our standard local spec, or standard sort of normal bus spec, and they're going to go into the TE type. Which does mean that the existing Decker fleet and the new Decker fleet will intermingle. So we get some new buses on routes that already get TEs, and we'll get some older TEs, or the Morse 1 liveried ones. Oops, I just gave away what's different. On the 4 and 6. So yes. Create new painting is not the correct button, but it doesn't do any harm. Yes, Solent Blue now has a Morse 2 livery. And I think this has come out really well. It's really... yes, is all I have to say to this. There's a thumbnail screenshot as ever. Alignment's not perfect here. I don't know what went wrong with that, although I did make it quite quickly. But yes, this is the new shiny, as it were. It's a very, very pretty bus, the MMC. The guy who designed them, and actually, now I'm thinking about whoever designed the MMC. I found the designer's work on the MMC on LinkedIn. Not LinkedIn, Behance. Which is like Adobe Pinterest. So, yeah, it's out there. It's very easy to find. And like the MMC was originally going to have like flared wheel arches, which is certainly an interesting choice for a bus. But nah, the designer of the MMC did a fantastic job. Like, the fact that this design is 10 years old and doesn't really look it, in a time when design has been moving so fast, it's a very, very good bus design. And here are the buses. Next to the Morse 1, you can see the very clear distinction between the bubbly Morse 1 and the sort of more rigid and angly Morse 2. But before I start fleet numbering and plating and, you know, everything with these, I'm going to find out what the fleet number is, because this batch is going to come straight off of the Jurassic County batch. TE 1838, so the first one here is going to be TE 1839. So we're going to have this say Solent Blue. Then the number panel is going to say FR. The fleet number is going to be TE 1839. And the license plate is going to be HN. Yeah, why not? No, HF. Yeah, HF. We'll do that. HF 69. Nice. KBA. There we go. And then the rest of these are going to be, you know, numbered and plated in sequence. So, I will settle in for numbering and plating 18 buses, and I'll bring you back when they're all done. And finally, we have HF69KBU, better known as TE 1856. To round off our fleet of 18 Enviro400 MMCs here at the Fratton garage, which takes the fleet total at Fratton up to 88. We can have 12 more buses, and that is that. So that's fun. But yes, the 4 and the 4 needs to have its allocation changed over, and the 6 needs to be activated. Okay, so I'm just running the game, waiting for something to show up on the 6 so that we can take a look at the 6, and we've got this from the bus manufacturer. Please don't be one of the big fleets. It's a Metro City. Okay, we can deal with that. We can deal with the Metro City. That's fine. Yeah, Metro City's not bad. How long do we have? Saturday. Yeah, plenty of time. I'm not going to worry about that for now. But yeah, no. Metro City recall. We'll deal with that next week. Anywho, I'm going to wait until the 6. Aha. There's a 6. But it's not going for a bit. So I'll bring you back when it's closer to it going. And now it's time to join HF69KBP on its first run of the first 6. From Portsmouth up to Paulsgrove, which is near Portchester and Cosham. We're going to go via Southsea, Copnor, Hilsea and Cosham en route to Paulsgrove, and it should be quite a good run. We have a lot of running through Southsea, where we are the only route so far. It probably won't remain that for too long, but there's so many ways you can send a bus down Southsea, down through Southsea, that there will be probably a lot of journeys where the only route that you could do that direct is the 6, because it's just there's so much going on in Southsea in terms of the road network. Portsmouth could end up having a lot of lower frequency services, particularly around Southsea. It's going to be an interesting one to see develop. That's for certain. But we're coming up through... where are you? What are you? Through Milton. And it's going quite well. Bus is busy but not rammed, which is what we like to see. And yeah, it is rather busy now as we're getting up towards Hilsea. And coming around this sort of weird bean-shaped junction. And going through Hilsea inside of a 10. Great. But the 10 goes that way, we go this way, so it all works out in the end. As you can see. So, now we're on our own. Well, after Queen Alexandra Steps, we're on our own for the rest of the run into Paulsgrove. The route does a bit of a funny thing round here, but that seems to be what it does in real life by the looks of things. I presume that road is quite narrow, so you wouldn't want to send buses in both directions down it. But anywho, the 6th to Paulsgrove. You know what? It's the only new route of the episode. Let's not go there. That was the 14 in Cowes on the Isle of Wight. We've not been back to the island in a little bit, but to be fair, that network is kind of spoken for. But what we are still wanting to look at is the 6 going the other way. We leave now from Paulsgrove, Allway Avenue shops at exactly the same time as a P whatever that is, which is truly great because those are the 2 routes that go that way. Ah well. But we go this way around that estate like that, again presumably because the roads are really narrow. It doesn't look like the sort of estate that would have big roads. But now we're coming in through Cosham alongside a 220. Well, 220's taking the main road. We go this way. But yes, the 6 seems to be an absolute success. And now we have a bunch of spare B8s at Fratton that we can use to assist with the Metro City recall when as it pertains to the Portchester fleet. The Romsey runners, I'm less sure about, because all the fleets up there are a little bit more strained. It really is only Solent Blue that has so much leeway. But we're coming down through Milton, past the university now. My voice is going funny. And the game's doing an autosave. Very nice. But now we're heading towards Southsea via Eastern and South Parades. There's a 6 just there. And it looks like we have just missed a connection with the 3 by a few minutes, which is not great. But oh well, these things happen. And yeah, that is Southsea Town Centre. The shop's called Southsea Shops. But what is the road called? Is it just High Street or something? No, it doesn't have a name. Or it's Grove. It's either... It might be Grove Road, looking at it. But yeah, that's Southsea's, like, High Street. Shops, whatever you want to call it. Town Centre. Yeah, that works. Right. I'm getting a feel for the road network in Southsea, because I did say all that about, you know, we would need to pay close attention to Southsea, given the potential for lots and lots of local services in that area. Right, my game is not happy. I presume this is just not as if taking a while. That sharp intake of breath is because my mouse stopped moving for a little bit, and I thought I ran out of RAM, like, an hour into this recording, which would not have been good. But anywho, we are coming up through Portsmouth city centre now. The bus stops at the city centre south, St Agatha's Church, and there before coming into the interchange at city centre north. So, yes, and other filler noises. And again, that's the 6. There isn't really much to look at in terms of anything else, because the 4 is the same, it's just with deckers now. Oh look, there's one, and it's one of the new ones. Isn't that pretty? They are lovely buses. But yes, Portsmouth is now looking a little bit more complete in terms of mainline coverage, given that we now have the southern side of Southsea covered, and we have the eastern side of, well, you know, we have the road up through Milton, Copnor, and towards Hilsea that way covered. It is, you know, it's becoming a proper little well fleshed out network, which is very, very nice. So let's return to the garage, because none of the new buses are in. Well, I guess we'll look at one of the Morse 1 ones. Yeah, I think on that note, I will see you next week from the South Coast. Bye bye.